Hi, I'm Vivian Tu, aka your rich BFF and your favorite Wall Street girly. I'm here with Fortune today to talk about personal finances in your 20s. Saving and budgeting looks very different for Gen Z and millennials than it did for our parents because they lived in a completely different era. Right now, our generation is dealing with high student debt, increased cost of living, stagnating wages, so the forces are stacked up against us. But there are still things that we can do to be good with our money. We just have to reframe how we think about our finances versus how our parents did. Budgeting and saving in your 20s needs to be as easy as possible because you're busy, and if it's challenging, you're probably not going to stick to it. So I highly recommend the 50-30-20 budgeting method. Essentially, 50% of your take-home pay goes towards needs, things like your rent and your groceries. 30% goes towards wants, so that trip to the nail salon or a vacation to Miami, and 20% goes towards saving, investing, and paying down debt. 20-somethings love to waste money on stuff that they don't actually care about. But if you're spending all of your money on things just to impress your friends, you're not going to actually have enough left over to buy and spend on the experiences and things you want. Aside from just saving and investing, I think the thing that is most valuable to spend on in your 20s are experiences. This is a time when you are likely moving into a new place and able to try new foods and visit new destinations and have new experiences with your friends. And it is so important to make sure that you're putting your dollars where your priorities lie. In terms of what you should be saving for, that's really up to you. What I highly recommend is first and foremost, making sure that you have an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of your living expenses set aside to protect you from a rainy day. Layoffs happen, the wheel might fall off your car, your roof might cave in. Something will happen to you when you least expect it, and you want to make sure that you're financially prepared. Regardless of how old you are, you should always be using a high yield savings account. Mostly because why would you choose a savings account that pays you a little bit of interest when you can choose a savings account that pays you significantly more interest? Many of us work jobs for other people or other companies, and you'll have access to something called a 401k or a 403b, depending on where you work. What's wonderful is that all you have to do is put money into these accounts and allocate to investments. And the biggest perk of all is oftentimes employers do offer something called employer match, meaning for every dollar you put in, your employer will put in a little bit of money as well. So it's one of the only instances where you can get free money. It is 100% okay to take on debt in your 20s. Please do not get that twisted. When people who don't have a lot of money borrow money, it's called debt. And when people who do have a lot of money borrow money, it's called leverage. So when I say investing in yourself is an investment, it is okay to take on debt. So if you decide to go back to graduate school or you decide to invest in equity in a home, these are not bad forms of debt. That said, what I would recommend staying away from are predatory loans like payday loans, as well as high interest rate debt like credit card debt. In terms of building your credit score, first and foremost, pay your bills on time. That is the number one most important thing. But second to that is also making sure you're limiting your credit utilization. Typically, I like to follow the rule of 10 and 30. So think about a credit card that you might have a $10,000 credit limit on. If you want to keep your credit score higher, spend below 30% of that limit. So from $10,000, that would be $3,000. And if you really want to supercharge your credit score, spend below 10% of your total credit line, meaning $1,000 on that $10,000 credit limit. To wrap up, in your 20s, I highly recommend spending on quality over quantity, both in terms of the things you're actually buying, but also the people you're investing that time into. Your best friends will be your 4 best friends forever, but you don't necessarily need to spend time in places and situations that don't serve you.